Hello everybody, Wald here. So in this video we're going to take a look at how you can turn your game prototypes into actual full games. But first of all, we need to fully understand what a prototype is meant to be. A prototype is by definition a first or preliminary version of a device or vehicle, in our case a game, from which other forms are developed. So what we can take away from that is that prototypes are the basic implementation of idea, which is then used to develop a more final version. The goal of a prototype is to see if your idea works, or if it's fun, or if it's worth building on in the shortest amount of time possible. It's really important that you spend the smallest amount of time getting a prototype done, so that way if the idea doesn't really work, then you haven't really lost all that much. So the way to do that is not to focus on making it optimized or writing really beautiful code, but instead just getting something running. Think of a prototype as a sketch. A sketch is the base of a painting. It's the phase where you can test out things and erase stuff and see what works really. It's really rough, and once you're happy with it, you can go from there and finish the painting. So here's a little prototype I made during the weekend while live streaming on YouTube. I made this little prototype in a program called Pico 8. I made a video about it last week, and I find it to be a really good prototyping tool since it's so easy to get something going across the screen, and since you're limited to these really small sprites, you don't spend a lot of time getting caught up in making good looking sprites, which take a lot of time. So I recommend using something that won't take a lot of time to get something going across the screen quickly and, get the ideas rolling. So let's take a look at the game and what we have so far. I wanted to make a game about fishing, something really basic that I can play with and see where I can take it. I haven't gotten too far, but what I've learned from this project is that the anticipation of waiting for a payoff, which in this case results in either no payoff or a win, that would be that you have caught a fish. This could create some interesting replay value. Always retrying to get a certain prize and seeing what different types of fish there are. This is also a stage where you can see if the game mechanic is either too hard or too easy. Does it create frustration, or is it fun? How can you fix these things, and if it's even possible without changing the core of the game mechanic? And that's the whole point of prototyping, is finding these little things and seeing if everything works together in harmony. I now would like to introduce you to a topic called risk assessment that you could use to better your prototyping. So risk assessment in game design terms is taking the idea that you have and writing down what could be holes in your design and what the weak points are. These could be hardware limitations or time limitations, even gameplay mechanics. So for example, let's say you're making a 3D RPG and the risk could be having more dungeons than you have time making, or having to draw many models at once when it might not even run on some people's hardware. Is the core mechanic actually fun? Things like this are crucial for making solid game design and making your game be, so to say, bulletproof. I would recommend reading some books on game design, as having a knowledge of these basic game design rules are kind of like building blocks that you can use to create solid game design. An amazing book I would recommend is The Art of Game Design by Jesse Schall. It's a great book and it covers everything that you'll ever need to design great games. You can use prototyping as a tool to better yourself as a designer and play with different mechanics, and who knows, maybe you can find a really cool and fun mechanic that you can turn into a more refined project. But do not get attached to your prototypes. When starting a prototype, go into it thinking that you will eventually throw this away and leave it. Even if you found a great mechanic, you'll still have to leave the prototype and create it from the ground up again into a more refined version. This could be really painful for some newer developers, as it kind of feels like they have failed, but take every prototype as a learning opportunity and as a way of practice for the real thing. So yeah, these are some tips I would give out from my years of making games and mistakes that I've made over the years, and yeah, just have fun. Remember why you became a game dev in the first place, and just stay humble. I'll see you later.